the seer wakes, a cold sweat clings to her. She gathers her thoughts. Aged wood creaks, echoing amongst the silent house. Near the house stood a shrine to Rhea Dana, goddess and mother of Rhea, a being of comfort. The seer sought answers. But the goddess's voice was not heard.
My name is Jakobsen Locke. I am a narrative designer with Dead Mage Studios and the writer on Children of Morta, which is a hack and slash dungeon crawler with some roguelite elements kind of mixed in, with a heavy emphasis on the narrative and the family. Because you're playing as a family of guardians, not just one hero, and your mountain's been corrupted by this tar that's flooding the land, corrupting all the creatures, and essentially it's your role as the family, the guardians, to save all the gods and figure out what this corruption is and how you can stop it. So you're going to be doing hacking and slashing, right? So you're going to be jumping into procedurally generated dungeons, where you'll be hacking away at waves of creatures, either in single player or in two-player local and online co-op, and killing a bunch of monsters. You'll be diving through levels of the dungeons, you'll be fighting mini-bosses, bosses, you'll then return home, where you'll see what the family's been up to while you've been gone, and the whole story will kind of evolve as you go through all the dungeons. So the narrative's been an interesting thing, because as a procedurally generated game, you got to figure out how do you combine like a narrative with a beginning, middle, and end. So we worked on figuring out how to do this. So we do a lot of very traditional cinematics between chapters, essentially, that kind of give you just enough narrative to keep you moving forward. But then apart from that, we have a lot of optional stuff that randomly spawns events that will kind of explain the theme of the world that you're in, as well as like what all the citizens are doing. Interesting enough, earlier someone saved this wolf cub. Yeah. So they brought it back to the house, and now we've been tasked with like finding herbs for it to like nurse it back to health. But it becomes a permanent fixture of the house and opens up like new ambient animations whenever you return. So it's more about world storytelling there. And then when you return back to the house, you'll see what the family's been up to. And so the family has their own kind of storyline that coincides with the main narrative. So you'll essentially see how the family deals with the weight of the world and how they handle all the pressure of having to save it.
The family listened in disbelief. The forest animals butchered, the shrine desecrated. The groan of her chair broke the heavy silence.
We originally started off with this concept that we really wanted to roguelite, and that means you gotta do procedural generation. That's just kind of the territory at this point. So we wanted to do procedural generation, but then we ran into the problem of having to deal with, an actual narrative that we wanted to tell as well. So we had to like dial back on some of the roguelite elements. So the major thing is the procedural generated dungeons are always going to be different. You're always going to be playing a different thing. But as you level up and you gain experience, it's all persistent. You'll keep that. You'll take that back home, and then you'll level up your character, each family member having their own unique skill tree that you can then gain new abilities in. So the idea is that you're never gonna like lose progress. You're always gonna be gaining, always gonna become stronger, but you're gonna be able to learn the levels that you're going through a bit more, because each chapter has its own like unique hazards, unique enemies. And the idea is that each time you play it, each time you die, your character gets stronger and you learn more about the level. So that way you should be able to come back and be stronger and be able to essentially defeat it easier because you know more now. Art-wise, a lot of inspiration comes from, especially the animation. Studio Ghibli was a major inspiration with any of their films, honestly. As well as there's a lot of Middle Eastern influences in the art that you'll notice. As far as games go, it harkens back to like the whole dev team, we all played Gauntlet back in the day, so we really want to kind of capture some of that, and of course Diablo. So when I pitch Children of Morta and I need like one sentence to do it, I say it's Gauntlet and Diablo meshed with like Hyperlight Drifter. So that's kind of what we wanted to aim for, essentially. So yeah, those are kind of some of our inspirations behind it. So there's 2-player local and online co-op. So you'll be able to play with a buddy on the couch, or you'll be able to play with them across the world. Oh no. Oh no. Okay, so we got a couple monsters in here that are summoning more monsters. We'll be looking later this year, later 2018, and we'll be on Xbox, PlayStation, and Steam.